Paul George has once again lost his damn mind. On Christmas Day, we dropped a lump of coal in Paul George's stocking as 600,000 people helped me dunk on Podcast P for 17 minutes straight. But what if I told you that George Paul has gotten even worse? So why do we even hate George Paul? Well, to briefly recap last video, the PG slander started after George outed his teammate CJ Miles to the media for taking an open game-winning shot, then when given the ball late game with a shot to save the Pacers season.
It's a nail biter here in Indy.
No OT tonight. Ball game.
George for the tie! Missed everything!
This dude just yeeted the ball at the backboard. George started his career on the mic strong. Then, after working his way out of Indiana, Paul George had to go on to remind the world how cold he was since we weren't seeing enough of it on the courts, I guess. Reminding us that playoff P is something we've never seen before.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I'm used to this. Y'all ain't met playoff P yet, huh? I'm used to these matchups. I'm used to playing against the best offensive guy during these moments. So, you know, that'll be my role. Not to say Corey won't guard him, but that'll definitely be my role.
Well, playoff P was certainly something new, because Donovan Mitchell brutally spanked Paul George and his star-studded team in his first damn season in the league. I mean, the list went on and on. From trying to criticize Damian Lillard's shot selection after he sent his ass to Cancun, to calling the Clippers the B team of Los Angeles after putting together the biggest playoff choke job I've ever seen in my lifetime, Paul George seems to routinely say the worst things possible at all of the worst times. At a time where Paul George really just needed to get his load managing self off of the bench and cut every microphone within 100 yards of himself, this dude has been riding the bench while pumping out Podcast P episodes like that's actually his full-time job. After signing a 4-year deal worth $212 million fucking dollars, PG has gone out there to score 16 points a game on 43% shooting at 34 years old. This dude should easily be incarcerated for robbery right now. That contract is abysmal, and that's just one of the million charges that Phillies PD should really be pursuing right now. I mean, this dude doesn't even play. A tweet went viral roasting Podcast P's ass for literally having more podcast clips posted than field goals made on the 76ers. The Sixers paid $50 fucking million per year for a podcaster. I mean, we get numb to these numbers, but just to help explain a little more, I hit the Philly business journals to find the real truth behind this investment in a full-time podcaster. And what I found is that for the price of one season of Podcast P on your shitty basketball team, you can turn around and buy a 233-unit apartment building in Philadelphia. I mean, they got the stainless steel appliances, the fucking granite countertops, they got the swimming pool, bro. But instead, the city of Philadelphia invested their fucking money in Paul George on their 20-32 basketball team rather than housing 233 families. Paul George is clearly bad for the economy. Eggs cost like $7 right now, and although you can't entirely blame it on Paul George, it is at minimum like 50%, with the other half being Joel Embiid, who also has made a killing as a part-time basketball player, but we'll get to him another time. Now, we all know that PG is more worried about the cast than the Sixers. This dude was literally out with an injured fucking pinky finger, but came in to drop 2 hour-long podcast episodes in 2 days. Now the podcast is basically flooded with strictly hate comments, but how bad is the Podcast P thing actually getting? Well, after starting the season rough, Paul George went on to say that Jared McCain can't be the Sixers' most consistent player. I mean, I get what he's trying to say. With all the money they're throwing at other talents, a rookie shouldn't be outplaying all of you, but for the love of God, getting in front of a microphone and outing people is the last thing that this guy should be doing, because every single time he does, this guy looks like a grade A moron. Like I said, Paul George went on to shit on his former team in the Clippers after he absolutely fleeced his hometown of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 27 first-round picks, then proceeded to choke away their one chance at a championship run. But now, he couldn't hold back the slander as he had to go shit on another team in the Indiana Pacers. George Paul stated, "It sucks that the Pacers haven't given him a tribute video since he's gone back to Indiana. Quote, I'm not sure, you know? We were joking with the guys and they were like, you know, do you still get a tribute video when you go to Indiana? I was like, I've never gotten a tribute video since I've gone back. And that was 8 years ago. It does, you know, it sucks. I think the way things played out still holds a grudge to them and they don't realize the great runs we've had in the time I was there. Bro, why do you care about a damn video when you can't even go out there and win the game against them? The whole time he was there, he was complaining about the potholes and how difficult it was for him to drive his Ferrari with his Los Angeles ass, since getting paid enough to buy 47 Ford Raptors was just not good enough treatment for this guy.
Like in this way right here?
The lights are better like that. Do your shit like if you was posing in a magazine, man. You know what to do.
I don't know how I look with the lighting.
Alright, turn to the front, put the head down in the front. Okay, you be looking at the...
Now, I don't like Paul George. I think you guys can tell. I will never like Paul George, in fact. This dude is even out there taking down channels that are dunking on his podcast career, even though the only time people talk about it is when bringing up how it's all he cares about. But how bad is the cast really? To show you guys how much I care, I suffered through multiple episodes of Podcast P, just to get to the bottom of the question that absolutely nobody's wondering. But upon my research, I found two things that only strengthened my hatred. Now first, to even get my dumbass in the door, George Paul had to clickbait his own team's downfall in the title, which is grade A nasty work as the comments can tell you. But later on, I realized something even worse. This dude, after dropping the most vanilla takes of all time, hits you with some damn sponsorship rates. Now, this is the same dude making $50 million and absolutely crippling public funding in Philadelphia, making you sit through a 60-second ad read for Prize Picks. Now, I've promoted some sponsors too, I'm not even hating on that, but for this dude to be grabbing crumbs and hitting sponsor reads on videos with 15,000 views with a broken pinky, while his boys are out there getting the belt to ass from Luka and LeBron James, is grade A criminal. I mean, this dude has to just hate playing basketball at this point. To give you guys some inside info, sponsors generally pay you from about 20 to 40 bucks per 1,000 views. This guy is making $50 million fucking dollars and is sitting there negotiating $300 sponsorships over his Podcast P business email. At this point, I think Podcast P might just still be going on to spite everybody that made fun of him, because at this point, he has to realize that doing this podcast is basically accomplishing nothing while his team is going out there and getting butt fucked. But in reality, PG was never the best decision maker. As you guys made me aware of last video, Paul George previously has gooned way close to the sun, cheating on Doc Rivers' daughter with a stripper and offering $1 million for her to get an abortion just to later play for Doc Rivers, choke his absolute ass off, get his coach fired, and then marry the stripper that he cheated with. I mean, Paul George has made it his whole life's mission to keep pissing everybody off. Recently, he said that he's bored playing for the Sixers. I mean, I get they were running the dude at center, which was kind of silly, but bro, you make $50 million to play part-time basketball when you're not podcasting, and you're having the worst season of your entire career. We don't want to hear that you're bored, bro. Podcast P is never going to stop dropping the worst media in history at this point. He'll probably drop the next cast calling everyone in the Sixers locker room gay when he eventually fleeces another team. I'm not sure exactly what the solution to the Podcast P problem is at this point. Prison time should definitely be on the table. Maybe even check his papers for a potential deportation or something. But no matter what it is, somebody needs to put a stop to Podcast P. We're trying to hit 100K this year, so make sure you subscribe. Then hopefully we can beat Podcast P to 1 million after that. Make sure you check out part 1 of the Slandering here if you missed that. And I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace out.